Hey guys, Coach Nick here with the 10-0 Mindset, where my goal is to provide you with all of the tools, resources, and support that you need to create happier, healthier gymnastics. I'm here bright and early on a Monday morning, fresh off of our first competition weekend of the season. The girls that I coach went out there, left everything out on the floor, and made me so proud. I can only hope that they're making themselves as proud as they make me. Now, I'm not saying that everything was perfect, but we never expect everything to be perfect. In this episode, we're just going to check in with ourselves after a competition to see how we're feeling, what we're thinking, and where we can go from here to continue creating positive improvements to our gymnastics and to ourselves. So first, let's just take a short moment to be grateful that we have the opportunity to participate in gymnastics. Let me tell you a short story about my gymnastics journey, why I love gymnastics, and what gymnastics has done for me. I started taking recreational gymnastics classes when I was 3 years old. It was at a local gymnastics and dance school called Elite Gymnastics and Dance Academy. I started gymnastics first, and then later added tap, jazz, and hip hop. My mom put me in these classes because I had way too much energy at home and would just keep running off of furniture, bouncing off the walls, and breaking things. When I started off, I wasn't a particularly good gymnast. In fact, I was probably one of the worst, most misbehaved gymnasts that you could imagine. I didn't listen to my teachers, and I had so much energy that I would just run around the gym screaming. Despite all of that, and the gym's constant requests that I try a different activity, my mom kept me enrolled. And at 6 years old, I began competing. I started like anybody else would in the USA Gymnastics Level 3 program. My first year, I was the only boys competitive gymnast, and my coach, Devin, was the local high school varsity football coach. He didn't know anything about gymnastics, but either did I, so we were both roughly in the same boat. But he was a lot bigger than me, and a lot louder than me, so I decided that maybe it was time to learn to listen. Shortly after I started competing, my father passed away due to a heart attack. I was young and didn't really know what was going on. I didn't have the emotional processing skills that I have now to deal with a tragedy like that. Honestly, I just felt lost. I felt like something was missing, and although I knew that my father was gone, I didn't really know what I was missing out on. I felt a strange emptiness when I'd see friends or other gymnasts who got picked up by their fathers or enjoyed spending time with them. Again, back then, I didn't have the level of self-awareness that I have now. Back then, I was young and I was lost. So I dove into gymnastics head first, and I worked as hard as I could to be good at it. Gymnastics kept me distracted, gave me something to progress in, something that I could be great at. And the truth is, like I said, when I was first starting, I wasn't great. I was average at best. I finished competition after competition with 7th place, 9th place, 11th place. Who even knew that they even gave out medals for 11th place? As I continued to work hard though, something changed. Not only did I learn to be a better gymnast, a stronger gymnast, a more flexible gymnast, but I learned lessons that would make me a better person, and eventually the person that I am today. I learned that if I work really hard, I can always improve, no matter how small that improvement might seem at the moment. I learned that cutting corners hurts nobody but myself. I learned that having a negative attitude and ruminating over mistakes doesn't help anything, but in fact, makes the situation at hand worse. And those are just a few of the life lessons. In a time of my life where I felt completely lost, unable to find happiness, gymnastics was my saving grace. Gymnastics gave me a place to go, a community to belong to, and a purpose and motivation that rivaled some of the greatest athletes of all time. From then on, I was determined to be the best that I could, to be the most talented, smartest, most caring and loving gymnast that I could be. Over the years of my competitive career, I'd go on to be a state champion, regional champion, and national event champion on parallel bars and vault before sustaining a career-ending knee injury. Looking back, truthfully, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change the hardships, the setbacks, the obstacles, anything. Because each one of those obstacles that I had to overcome made me a stronger gymnast and a stronger person. I'm sorry if that story made you as emotional as it makes me to tell it, but I just wanted to show you as a reminder to keep things in perspective. Participating in gymnastics isn't about the individual performances or the medals or titles that you'll collect through your talent and hard work. It's about important life lessons that you'll learn, the change you'll go through as you mature as a person, and the discoveries you'll make about yourself along the way. Let's get back to the competition. Think about what your goals were before you competed. Did you have a goal for each event? Maybe you wanted to make it through the competition without a fall, or without any tears. Maybe you simply wanted to feel calm and at peace during the competition. Whatever your goals were, how did you do? Whether you hit your goals or whether you didn't even come close, I'm proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself as well. You tried your best. In my journey now as a gymnastics coach, I try my best to work with my gymnasts to redefine success, because success doesn't depend on results or scores or routines. Success is more broad than that. The three things that you can control to create success for yourself is your effort, your learning, and how you handle mistakes. Did you try your best? You probably did. Is there something you could learn from the competition? There probably is. How did you deal with any mistakes that popped up? Maybe you handled them well, or maybe it's something that you could work on. The truth is, and this may be in direct contrast to how others coach, but I don't care what scores you received at your competition. Don't focus on individual scores, but instead focus on how you're feeling, the progress that you make throughout the whole season, and how you develop to be a valuable, amazing member of your community. Think back to your personal performance at the competition. Go through each event you competed. How do you feel about your performance? If you're happy with it, what did you do that you're happy with about? If it was a tough event for you, what do you feel you could have done better? It's important not to beat yourself up on any events, because after all, they're in the past now, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. Now that we've taken some time to reflect on what actually happened at this competition, let's set some goals for training moving forward. On the areas that you feel you could have done better, what are some small, actionable goals that you can implement starting this week or starting now? It doesn't have to be anything big. Maybe you're going to start visualizing on your ride to practice or before you go to sleep each night. Set realistic, timely goals and tell someone about them so that they can help keep you accountable and on track and offer support when you need it. Finally, one common cause of competition stress and anxiety is change. Maybe the equipment available at the competition will be a different manufacturer, or a different color, or a slightly different thickness than the equipment that you practice on. It's important to remember that this is a very real possibility, and that we have to be prepared for that. What you can try to do is try to practice on a variety of equipment, or on slightly different mats, or in slightly different lighting conditions. Be ready for circumstances and situations to be different than you practice them. Be ready at all times to adapt to change. I know it's comfortable in practice to use the exact same circumstances each and every time, but it's just not realistic. And I know it's scary, and that's okay. But create a plan in your head to change just a small detail every now and then, and you'll feel more confident in your ability to adapt and overcome to change, without it crippling your positivity. I want to leave you with a quote that I love to read when I'm feeling afraid of stepping outside of my comfort zone. There are times that I feel it would be easier to do things the way I've always been doing them. There are times I'm feeling afraid of change. But in this quote, Bill Parisi hits the nail on the head about how things are constantly changing, whether we like it or not. He says, Consider for a moment that as you sit here reading this book, everything about you is in constant motion. Hold your breath. Sit perfectly still. Pretend to be the statue guy street performer in Times Square if you want. Your heart is still pumping plasma through your body at an approximate speed of 0.3 meters per second. Electrical impulses fire across your nervous system millions of times per second. Anything you ate in the past few hours is being propelled along by the smooth muscles of your digestive tract at about 2 miles per hour. The planet beneath you rotates at more than 1,000 miles per hour, speeding around a star at approximately 66,000 miles per hour in a galaxy that is moving at more than 1 million miles per hour through a universe that is continually expanding into the unknown. The reality is that absolutely none of it is stationary at any time. It only feels this way. Now, this quote is from a strength training textbook, but it really captures the idea that the world and our lives are in constant motion, a state of constant change. We can either let that change overwhelm us and prevent us from reaching our goals, or we can use it as an opportunity to improve ourselves, our adaptability, and our effectiveness. Lastly, I just want to take a moment to tell you again how proud I am of you for giving everything you had at the competition. As a former competitor myself, I know how scary and nerve-wracking competitions can be, but you persevered and you made it through. Regardless of how the scores came out, you're able to walk away with gratitude and grace, making any necessary adjustments, and continue to improve yourself and your gymnastics. And that's something that you can be proud of.